start this reveal at the kayak launch, and pretty soon we're flying over the pond or the marsh, and you'll see the beauty of the marsh. Reedy Point Bridge is in the distance. This marsh was formed maybe about 40 years ago, according to historic satellite imagery. Please subscribe if you'd like to remain up to date as to what's happening in the marsh. So in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, you see the den-wreck devastation of phragmites, or marsh grass, via aerial spraying. And if you look straight ahead, that marsh grass was untouched. So I don't know why only that area there was affected or targeted. And you'll see that they did not target the opposite side of the canal at the 1,000-acre marsh. They left the phragmites there. So here on the left-hand side, you see they cleared the road in an area possibly for adding dredged material, because they can come in off of Coxneck Road, travel down Canal Road, and get right to this area that we call the marsh, which is going to be drained. According to the Army Corps of Engineers, the plan is to drain the marsh. And now you'll see a closer look at the devastation of the phragmites. This used to be a very beautiful area. The marsh grass was about 6 to 8 feet high. You could paddle back here. You're protected from the wind. You're protected from the noise. You felt you were hundreds of miles from civilization, and there were only a few miles. Civilization was only a few miles down the road. This is what it used to look like maybe a little over 2 years ago. What you see in the water, below the water, is hydrilla. And that's what it looked like. And now this is what it looks like. It's just been destroyed. And this was done by DENREC. Now, I questioned about a year ago the Army Corps and said, who sprayed the area? And they said, well, they didn't. Then I sent this some still shots from this area and said, something caused the eradication of the marsh grass. And that's when they said, well, DENREC sprayed because it's an invasive species. But they've only targeted an area around the marsh. They're not targeting areas, not even all of the areas at the marsh. You can see pretty much top middle of the screen there, the area on the left, there's more marsh grass that they didn't touch. But I think this is the area that they want cleared so that they can have visual line of sight of what's ahead of them when they start to deposit dredgings from the Delaware River. So this area is being targeted for dredgings for maintenance of the Delaware River, not the canal, which I originally thought. So I don't think the canal is going to be dredged soon. But the Delaware River, they do maintenance dredgings, and so this is going to be ongoing for quite a while. One of the concerns I have if they're dredging from the Delaware River is the possibility of either toxic metals or toxic organics like PCBs, or even dyes, dye residue that probably is leaching out from Chambers Works. Now it's going to be deposited in this area, possibly causing pollution of this area. But, there is going to be an environmental impact study, which is now coming out at the end of September. So if you're interested in learning when that is available and the link to that, subscribe to the channel and I'll post an announcement when that's available. Now you see in the distance the 1,000-acre marsh, which was bought by the state of Delaware to preserve the marsh area, which is a beautiful natural habitat for turtles, swans, geese, ducks, fish, and other wildlife and other forms of nature. And apparently Delaware thought that was important, but the Army Corps doesn't think it's important enough to save what's on the northern side of the canal. There you see the marsh grass in the 1,000-acre marsh. DENREC did not attack that at all. So clearly they're working with the Army Corps to clear the land for the dredgings that are going to be coming from the Delaware River. They went right up to the canal the canal bike path. And you can see we'll get a little closer to the bike path in a moment. And also when you add a lot of nitrogen back to the water by killing all of this vegetation, you have regrowth of algae and other kind of weeds. This this green stuff that's floating on the water was not that evident or prominent years ago, but now you're seeing it here. There's a Reedy Point Bridge. Now these are other marsh areas that are not connected via waterway to the major marsh area, 90 acres, that's just south of Cox Neck Road. You can see bulldozer tracks here. Not sure when these were made, probably when water levels were lower, and now it's been backfilled with water from rainfall. Now, I've known people to fish from the bike path through openings in the marsh grass and catch fish. That's all. This is all going to be drained too, I assume. And all this area is going to be filled with dredgings from the Delaware River. It's probably going to look like Cherry Island landfill here pretty soon, thanks to the Army Corps of Engineers. So we're still waiting on as I said, the environmental impact study, but I bet you dollars to donuts they're going to say there's nothing wrong with draining this and backfilling with dredgings from the river. What else are they going to say? It used to be such a beautiful area. Center of the screen there, to the left slightly, is the cleared roads, and that's where the launch area was. You were able to kayak from the launch, go along the left shoreline, and go in a complete circle clockwise all the way around through some channels to get back to this area that you see here on the left, little channel. And it was probably a mile and a half maybe to paddle all the way around. It was a great place to come and just get away from noise and pollution. And now the pollutants are going to be added to this beautiful area. As I said, this has been around since about 40 years based on Google Earth historic satellite imagery. And if they just dredged about 14 miles and dug down about 6 feet and 300 feet wide, that'll give you about 7.4 million cubic yards of muck that they're going to dump here. So this is probably going to be used as a repository for a long time. They denuded a lot of the forested areas to make even more area available. I can only imagine how many trees they ripped out to make room for the dredgings. And it's probably going to be, they're probably going to put in 20, 30-foot berms, or maybe just a mountain like they do at Cherry Island. I don't know where the dredgings went before. There's always DOD Pond on the other side of the river that they could use. I think that's owned by the Army Corps as well. So now we're going to finish up pretty much right where we started off at the launch, kayak launch, or former kayak launch. You can't even come here anymore because some degenerates damaged some equipment here, so they shut the road down for access. So stay tuned for more information, and thanks for watching.